So by now, I'm pretty sure you all are tired of seeing pulses right now in the meta, especially with bygones being introduced with Zen Moment and High Ground for allowing for a super fast TTK for practically nothing. You literally just shoot someone from a higher elevation than you, then you can two burst them at any distance. It's pretty stupid, not gonna lie. And if not that one, you see Elsie's Rifle still in the meta with Zen Moment and Head Seeker allowing for those two bursts. A very consistent fast TTKs of 0.67. Pretty rampant, and right now it's led to a playstyle of laning back. And it's very hard for new pulses to come into the meta right now to make a name for themselves, especially with the introduction of two burst pulse rifles being buffed, allowing for peak shotting with pulses, which is a very weird playstyle, but oddly very, very effective. But this pulse I'm going to talk about today makes a name for itself, especially considering that Bygones is getting nerfed next week, for this pulse being very strong in the meta for punishing overshield and rift users, as well as a very good option in PvE for dealing with champions. How's it going, YouTube? Chill here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the pulse from Garden of Salvation, Sacred Provenance. This pulse can be acquired from the third encounter boss in the raid itself. Again, if you don't know by now, there is a cheese to push the boss off the map. I will not be going over that in this video. There's plenty of guides out there that you can look up, find a video out there, learn how to do it, build up a raid team, start running it out, and farming it whenever it is the active raid for the week. So, in this video, we're going to be going over the origin trait first. We're going to be going over the perks in the left and right column. We're going to go over a PvE section, what perk combinations to roll in there. That would be very effective considering all the other pulses in the meta. And in PvP, we're going to go over some perk combinations as well. Some that help with lethality and some that help with consistency. And all the perk combination that makes it very hard to miss headshots. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And let's get into it. So first off, going over the origin trait. It's called Photo Inhibition. This weapon deals bonus damage to combat shields and targets with overshields. Breaking a combatant shield disorients them. Breaking an energy match shield also disorients nearby combatants. Now, since this is a kinetic weapon, it does not benefit from the energy match shield portion of the origin trait itself, but it does benefit from the first part. Comparing this to another similar 450 pulse rifle in the same slot like Blast Furnace, Blast Furnace does 485 damage per bullet to an overshield at a basis. With Sacred Provenance, it does 652 damage per bullet on the shield itself. That's a rough 35% increase to damage to shield for free on the origin trait itself, not including the fact that this origin trait can stack with armor piercing rounds in your mag slot, this increasing it to 680 damage per bullet to the shield, making it a 40% increase to shields as a net whole, not including the fact that this will work on anti-barrier shields as well. Now, we all know that anti-barrier pulse is pretty often popping up in the artifact. Just right now, it's not. It's unstoppable. But that doesn't mean this doesn't make it a good anti-champion weapon for anti-barriers. You simply take off unstoppable pulse, pop Radiant, and you can take out those shields perfectly fine. And it makes it very, very strong for dealing with anti-barrier shields, similar to Revision 0, but a legendary version, funny enough. So that part of the perk is very, very strong in PvE. Plus the fact of disorienting combatants. Whenever you break an enemy shield, again, it does not have to be matching. It's only the radius effect that triggers when damaging an energy match shield. The combatant is stunned for 7 seconds. In PvE, that's a long time. Especially for a major combatant, especially in Nightfalls that can tend to rush you, disorient them. They're open for fire. You can eliminate them fast. It makes it very, very strong as a PvE option in the meta for endgame content. This origin trait will be very, very beneficial for that. So definitely recommend this pulse rifle and all the garden weapons because this origin trait is stupid strong. Now that we know that, let's go over the traits. Going over the third column, we have Steady Hands, Stats for All, Demolitionist, Lone Wolf, Killing Wind, Head Seeker, and Rapid Hit. In the fourth column, we have Frenzy, Head Seeker, Desperate Measures, One for All, Kinetic Tremors, Desperado, and Kill Clip. So pretty stacked as far as perks goes in this weapon. You know, most weapons don't have this perk combinations together. Now, the only pulse that's ever had pretty good perk combinations together has been Blast Furnace, but Blast Furnace has had more lethality kill chaining perks. This pulse has a different utility in mind. So for PvE, going over the perks in the third column that would be most beneficial, we have Stats for All, you know, for that increase to reload speed, handling, and the other benefits as well, just for shooting 3 different enemies. Similar to like Outlaw for that reload buff, however, it lasts for 10 seconds as opposed to a quick time reload after precision kill. Very beneficial. However, some people don't really like that playstyle, so it just depends if you like that as well. Next thing we have Demolitionist in the column, which is always very, very strong in the meta for PvE for grenade builds. Again, more often than not, PvE builds reign around grenade builds. However, right now with Prismatic, it's been more melee based, but there's still a lot of good, strong grenade builds, especially my Warlock mates out there with Rhymecone Raymonds, you know, Osmiomancy, stuff like that. Demolitionist is a good option, especially for primaries. You get 10% grenade energy back per kill. When it has, it goes up to 11%, which is just a little added benefit. Still very, very strong for that. Nextly, we have Rapid Hit, which again, you know, basically playing into your loop of being consistent with your headshots. You get that bonus to stability, reload, and that reload modifier. Very, very strong for, you know, consistent reloads. And oddly enough, a good pairing for one of the other perks in the fourth column, but I'll get into that. In the fourth column, we have Frenzy First, which this perk is very, very strong in the meta. This perk is kind of like a pseudo version of Chaos Reshape from the Salvation's Edge weapons. However, that one requires you to be in combat for 24 seconds as opposed to Frenzy being 12 seconds. And if you don't know how Frenzy actually works, you need to deal damage or receive damage in 6-second intervals twice to get Frenzy procced at the 12th second. And once you're at that, you get that 50% increase to your damage plus 100 reload and 100 handling for 7.2 seconds at base. Now, including when enhanced, it does make it easier to keep up Frenzy proc, so it's very, very strong in the meta right now. Pretty much you get Outlaw and a damage perk all in one for free. That makes it very, very beneficial in PvE, so don't sleep on this perk. This perk is very, very good, especially on a pulse rifle like this. It's very slow handling and slow reload. Definitely a good combination with this one. Next, we have Desperate Measures, which honestly, this perk combination, I really don't find it beneficial, the feedback loop with this. Basically, you have to get a weapon kill first to get a 10% increase. However, you get a melee or grenade kill, you get a 20% damage increase. But if you do a weapon kill first and then a grenade or melee kill, you get up to 30% increase altogether. And it can only be refreshed by another grenade or melee kill, not a weapon kill. So this loop, while yes, it can be strong to get to a specific buff, especially in PvP, honestly, I don't like this loop itself. I don't recommend it. But again, if you like this loop and you find it beneficial, go ahead with this one. But for me, I just personally don't like it. Next, we have One for All. And considering that we just had Stats for All in the left column, this is a Born Bred combo to pair together. Again, you're shooting the 3 enemies, you're getting the bumps to the reload and all your other stats. And now, because of that, you're getting a 35% increase to your damage overall just for that, doing that same loop in and of itself. So that perk combination is very, very strong. However, on the pulse, I really don't like it. I like it more beneficial on auto rifles and SMG, something that's very fast fired up and close and personal with enemies. But you can't go wrong with this on a pulse itself. Still a good combination if you want to pair that. But for me, on a pulse like this, I don't recommend it. Now this perk here, Kinetic Tremors. And if you don't know already, this perk combination is very, very strong on kinetic weapons as a whole. Makes them very, very lethal for capabilities and kill chaining. That does 3 pulsing blasts at the enemy's location in a radius that can also kill multiple combatants around them as well. That makes it very, very strong. For pulses specifically, it takes 11 bullets to get the Kinetic Tremors proc. Now, since this is a 4-burst pulse rifle, you just need to land 3 bursts on the target to get the Kinetic Tremors proc, making it very, very strong for ad clearing capabilities. While, not as flashy as, damage perks, because a lot of people like damage perks, this one offers a different utility with it and is very, very strong, especially considered paired for champion capabilities. Think about this for a second. When anti-barrier pulse rifle is on the artifact and you pair that with Kinetic Tremors on this weapon in correlation with the origin trait for bonus damage to the shields, just landing the 3 bursts to proc the Kinetic Tremors proc on the enemy, those shockwaves themselves also deal damage to the anti-barrier shield as well, allowing it to break very, very rapidly, kind of like a pseudo revision 0 on a legendary pulse rifle. That makes it very, very strong for champion capabilities for anti-barrier pulses. It was doing pretty considerable damage considering for just a primary itself, especially when I paired it with other weapons as well. The champion doesn't stand much of a chance. So it's a nice added DPS to dealing with champions in and of itself. That makes it very, very strong for PvE. Definitely recommend this perk if you were to go for one of them. Then we have Desperado, which honestly, this perk is kind of dead ever since it got nerfed way back when because of PvP. The only benefit of rocking Desperado on this weapon is that it increases the primary DPS of this weapon. However, you need to get that precision kill first and then reload, and you only have it for a couple of seconds, and then it goes right back down to its normal DPS state. It is helpful if you want to chunk down a beefier target with 1 proc of Desperado, but honestly, to me, a damage perk does the same thing, but arguably better. Again, that's just more preference on that one, but ideally for me, I don't want Desperado. I don't like it. Then we have the last perk is Kill Clip, which is pretty good for PvE, especially when the buff happened that you can refresh the Kill Clip procs on itself. So very beneficial, that 20% buff or that 25% damage increase to Kill Clip. So really, really strong on that one. You can't go wrong with Kill Clip, but it just depends on what you want to have. So for me, there's 2 god rolls for PvE that I would recommend building into, and I actually did craft them myself. For first one, I went with Demolitionist and Frenzy. Again, because of Frenzy, you don't need to have the weapon out whenever you're dealing or taking damage. You just need to do that stuff in correlation with having the weapon on you equipped. Now, while you're doing all that combos together, you're slowly building up for that Frenzy proc, and when it does proc, you have that increase to the damage and the handling and reload. And then when you do have that proc, whenever you're getting kills with that, you're helping feed into Demolitions even better, allowing for more effective kill chaining. Again, for that increased damage and increased reload, you're going on weapon sprees with it, feeding into your grenade cycle, keeping that going to help feed into the Frenzy duration, keeping that timer going as well, so you stay in that combat loop for a longer time. It allows for good kill slaughter chaining with that perk combination together in correlation with your builds. With that combination, I would recommend rocking a pendant mag for the increased mag size with a backup mag as well. Because of the recoil direction being 70, I recommend rocking Arrowhead Break as well, just so it's straight 100 recoil direction, so it just shoots straight up like a laser beam. And because of that, you have the high mag size, keeping you into the fight longer, dealing with all the enemies. And of course, whenever you do happen to run out, you have that lightning fast reload, and then you just keep going and going and going and going. You can't be stopped once you start. Now, the second combination is for champion stunning. For that one, I go rapid hit and kinetic tremors. Most specifically because, again, if you rock this with anti-barrier pulse rifle, or again, right now, because of the artifact this season, it's unstoppable. Whenever the kinetic tremor does proc, it does additional damage to the stunned champion as well. After the fact, whenever you swap it to your special weapon or heavy weapon to kill them as well, it adds to that DPS total overall, makes it a lot more effective for dealing with champions in and of itself. And of course, with photo inhibition, whenever you have anti-barrier pulse or you're rocking Radiant on your builds, pairing that with armor piercing rounds as well, you're doing that increased 40% damage to the shields as well, not including the fact of Radiant being an additional 15% for a 55 total percent damage increase to shields. That makes it very, very strong in the meta as far as a champion weapon. This one's going to be very good whenever anti-barrier pulse rifle comes out. Definitely do not sleep on this one. Moving on to PvP, before we go over the perk combinations, let's go over stats first, because again, in PvP, stats matter more often than not, especially considering how many pulses we have. Stats usually differentiate how we build our pulse rifles in relative to other ones. Looking over the stats, we can already tell that Sacred Province has very, very lackluster stats compared to our other 4-burst pulse rifles in the kinetic and energy slot. It's pretty much second worst in class relative to our other ones. You know, again, we have Blast Furnace, Belisarius, and Insidious having the highest range amongst all of them. Against stability, it's gotten beaten out by Blast Furnace and Disparity. The only thing the Sacred Province has that beats out our other pulse rifles is only two stats that are, funny enough, the most important stats. It's aim assist being the highest at 48, and its recoil direction being 70. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's not the highest recoil direction. Remember, recoil direction is based on a curve. You always want your recoil direction ending on a 5, so that way it ends up vertical. If it ends on a 0 on either 60 or 70 or whatever the case may be, it veers off to the left or the right. So it being 70, all it needs is arrowhead break to make it vertical. A lot of other pulse rifles don't have that. Blast Furnace doesn't have it at 65, so it doesn't need it. However, Blast Furnace, because of that and this archetype of pulse rifle being slow handling, putting arrowhead break still adds benefit to this pulse rifle as well, especially because now we have ballistics in the rotation of mods that helps out with our range and stability as well to buff it up even better. Going to the perks in third column for PvE, we do have Killing Wind for that increase to the range and pushing out the range band of this pulse rifle. It's the only perk ever to push out the range band of any primary weapon in the game past its threshold. So it is very finishable for that. However, you do need to get a kill first off for that. So again, that just depends on your lethality. If you're able to kill Shane, Killing Wind would be a good option for you. Next, we have Heating Up for the increased stability and recoil direction and reducing the accuracy cone size and growth. That basically means whenever you're getting into engagements and the bloom takes over and starts spreading out your burst even more so, it keeps the cone tighter and more consistent whenever you get those procs going. It makes it more of a laser beam and more consistent whenever you're taking those duels. But to me, honestly, the best perk for this one for PvP is Lone Wolf. Let me explain. Remember how I stated previously that Sacred Province has the highest aim assist of any of the 4-burst pulse rifles? It could be increased even further because of Lone Wolf. If you don't know what Lone Wolf is, it improves the aim assist, aim down sight speed, and airborne effectiveness of the weapon for just having the perk by +10. Now, when you're not by allies, it goes up to +20 for both of those, and the ADS multiplier is reduced even more so to make it even faster. Now, when enhanced, it goes up from 10 to 11 at base for just having the perk on. It goes up from 11 to 22 for the aim assist and airborne effectiveness, and the increased ADS multiplier is even more so increased. So that way, it's even faster for aiming down sight, basically negating the sluggishness of 4-burst pulse rifles just from this trait itself, making it very, very lethal and pretty much kind of making it like a lightweight pulse in your hands, even though it's not. Not including the fact that this also stacks with ADS targeting mods as well to make it even faster, practically the fastest handling 4-burst in the game just from this perk alone. Now, in the fourth column for kill chaining perks, we do have a couple options which are pretty strong. Again, you have kill clip in the column for, a slightly less TTK shift. You still need to shoot 2 bursts to get the kill, which is not much of a TTK shift, so I wouldn't recommend kill clip in itself, but you're not necessarily wrong with that option as well. Desperate Measures if you're rocking an ability focused build as well. You get the ×2 proc, which is another TTK shift. Again, not as much, so it still takes about 7 bullets, if I'm not mistaken, to get the kill. Still 2 bursts to get off, but 1 less bullet, so slightly less TTK shift, so can't go wrong with that one either. But honestly, for me, I think Headseeker is the play. Headseeker, whenever you land a body shot, increases your aim assistance and precision damage to the head whenever you do land that body shot. Think about that. When Lone Wolf is proc when not nearby allies, you get a +20 to the aim assist. That's already 70 aim assistance by itself. Not including 2 targeting mods when combined together is 78 aim assistance. Also paired with Headseeker, whenever you do land that body shot, you get that increased aim assistance to the head. It basically makes it a laser beam that is kind of hit scan, if I'm being honest. I landed a lot of shots around corners that I did not have any business landing and still secured a kill whenever they were trying to run away from me. That shows how strong the bullet magnetism is to the head whenever all these things line up together. And more often than not, it does line up together, even more so in trials, because again, some people like to veer off by themselves. You know, sometimes you need to spread apart from your teammates. That does help out with those engagements a lot. And according, that's not including the fact if you pair that with the targeting of mod itself, because again, arrowhead break makes the recoil direction 100 vertical. We do have that freedom for the mod slot to be whatever you want it to be. Ideally for me, I went with ballistics for the increased range and stability, but again, you can put a targeting mod as well to feed into that loop itself even stronger. For that combination, I pair arrowhead break again, like I stated previously, and for the mag perk, I went with ricochet rounds itself for that increase to the stability and range, and for the added benefit of shooting around corners, because again, if you don't know how ricochet works, if you shoot around a corner, if you know how to do it right, you can shoot at a corner to bounce it up behind cover and try to hit your enemy that's hiding behind a wall, trying to recover back, basically punishing them for camping behind a corner with a shotgun or whatever the case may be. Very, very strong mag perk if you know how to utilize that correctly. I've never felt a pulse rifle that's felt this good before, and believe you me, once you start using it, you won't be able to pull it down. But those are just my recommendations for god rolls. What do you all think? Are you going to be going for the god roll for PvE, for Demolitionist Frenzy, for kill chaining for your grenade builds, or are you going to be going for champion capabilities with rapid hit kinetic tremors and armor piercing rounds to deal with unstoppable champions and barrier champions whenever it's anti-barrier pulse? Or are you going to go for some other combination that you want to use? What about PvP? Are you going to be going for Lone Wolf Headseeker for, you know, that consistent aimbot field weapon for magically landing headshots you have no business landing? Or are you going to be going for lethality perks like Killing Wind, Kill Clip, Teaming Up, Kill Clip, something along the lines of that? What are y'all going to be building for? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. Also, feel free to drop a follow on our Twitch where you can see me or my twin sister Chili streaming. We do some Destiny stuff and the occasional off-game stuff whenever we're kind of bored. But more often than not, it's Destiny content, and we'd love to have you there. Do some raids, do some dungeons, whatever we're feeling the mood for. But yeah, appreciate y'all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, keep it chill.